So let's now briefly speak about employment, unemployment, or even underemployment, and why this topic of employment is important, and even we shall try to outline also different definitions of unemployment and the implications of these on individuals. So Bell and Quigan, whose textbook we are using in this week, argue that we live in a kind of capitalistic economy and that there is a need for employment. So they argue that a capitalist economy requires people to try and compete in a labor market in order to earn a living. That the labor market is thus of central importance to the life changes of most of the population. So only the very young, the old, and the incapacitated are spared the usually grueling challenge of competing in the labor market, a place that can feel inhuman for those who cannot find a job or enough work or a decent wage. So clearly this quote is kind of summarizing many of the things we shall be repeating in the next few recordings, and clearly speaking to the complexity of employment and unemployment as topics of social policy. So, and we shall see how definitely employment and unemployment is probably one of the most cross-cutting topics we can ever discuss about in social policy. We shall see how it touches many other aspects of life, including health and well-being, including whether you will end up in poverty just because you can't find a good job, including given the ability to migrate to Australia. I know many people who couldn't simply migrate to Australia because one of the reasons was that they couldn't get, a job for which they could be getting a visa to stay in this country. So clearly, employment, you see how it kind of touches on many of the other topics we have covered already in the previous weeks, and how or what are the possible implications in what these authors are now referring to as a capitalist economy, and who gets to get a job in such a competing way of doing things and who is excluded from the job market. So we shall try to outline all these concepts. So clearly, employment has implications for our identity and well-beings. It has implications for our ability to perform other types of work, that informal work, such as being able to care for our kids, being able to care for our older ones, being able to, take our responsibilities as adult people in the society. Also has implications on household income, has implications on migration, as I've just started saying. Employment might have implications also on the social determinant of health and well-being. And what I mean by employment here, or unemployment having implications for this, it's not only an issue of access, or if you can't access the job, then you have stress, and then the stress can end up causing some diseases. But even working conditions can be a key social determinant of health. Let's say, for example, if you are working in an environment where there is a toxic work culture, you have access to a job, but a job definitely which might end up leading you into burnout and stress-induced diseases, and all those technically can affect your health and well-being. So the need of employment in social policy is therefore not only just a question of the economy or an economic question. It's more a cross-cutting question. And Again, Bell and Quiggin argue that a good deal of social policy is directed to problems emanating from the labor market and its various malfunctioning. So accordingly, a good way to minimize the need for expensive and often difficult social policy interventions is to try to organize the labor market so that it provides something close to full employment as well as quality jobs and decent wages. Again, what they are really telling us here is that we probably keep spending all the time, many times, just solving problems which actually emanate or are caused by, the labor market, or problems which emanate from the labor market. We keep wasting all our time trying to solve them in other sectors when actually the root cause of these problems are in the labor market. And if we tried to address those problems from the labor market perspective, then we can probably find better solutions. I'm thinking here of specific problems such as social security issues and the different benefits people get, and the social security, and as we discussed in some of the weeks, some of these questions around the superannuation, issues around pension, and all those technically are things which cannot be isolated from how the labor market broadly operates. But even again, as I said, specific stress-induced diseases, which we try to keep addressing in the health sector, might be prevented maybe if we had better policies and better labor market related policies preventing things such as bullying and workplace bullying and workplace issues, which end up affecting many people's health and well-being. So in the next recording, we shall speak about the key terms and how unemployment policy can be defined.